Good evening everyone and welcome along to PSGL F2. We are here tonight for round 14 of the championship as we take the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix from the Autodromo Enzo Edina Ferrari, otherwise known of course as Imola. My name is James Head. I'm not normally here on F2, but I'm going to be taking to the stream as your lead commentator here tonight. Owen White should be joining me in the comment box here tonight. If not, we are just going to do it by ourselves of course, and hopefully we're going to have a really good race out on track around this historic circuit in Formula 1. Reminder, of course, what happened last week in America. It was Tom, of course, who took the win out on track. 5th win in a row, obviously following on from the successes in Netherlands, Brazil, Mexico and Singapore. He still leads the championship on 32 points, and obviously, he can wrap up the championship here tonight, and I'll come on to the permutations in a second. Second position, of course, was Cameron Dowds last week as well. Good to see a familiar F3 driver in F2. And then in third, of course, it was Barak, and Barak finished in third. And the gap between front two are 32 points. So Tom leads the way on 124 points, Barak in second on 92, then Devon in third on 67, CC Grain in fourth on 62, Louis in fifth on 53, then Valentin in sixth on 48. He's also been promoted to the league. Jack Humphrey's also tied for 6th on 48 points. Bollin there in 7th on, or in 8th on 43, and then Dino and Andre round off the top 10, both tied for 9th position on 40 points. Cameron Dowds in 11th, and Nicolo Santeri, Legend and Kazizel ran off the top 15. Ricky, Kryptonite, Meti, Cohen and Steph round off the top 20, and then it's Asi, Pat Schneider and Blaze who've scored the points so far this season. And in terms of the permutations coming in tonight, I was going to mention it at the start of the stream, which I will now, because we are running a couple of minutes late here in F2 tonight. Of course, we are going to be crowning maybe a Drivers' Champion here tonight. Shazoo Tom, of course, now joining Parnell Racing, obviously, in real life. Congratulations, first and foremost, to Tom for joining Parnell Racing. Great outfit, I think. And he can wrap up the championship as long as he outscores Barak by 2 points tonight. That's all he needs. He needs a 34-point advantage going into the final race of the season. So he only needs to outscore basically a race win. He can pick up the race win, and that is him wrapped up in terms of the championship. Barak, of course, he needs to outscore Tom tonight by, I think it's 32 points coming in tonight. Race gap is 16. So in that case, it is probably going to be around about the it basically needs a race win and Tom's DNF. That is the only scenario really that is in play here tonight. Owen, by the way, has managed to join me in the lobby, so he should be joining me very soon indeed for F2 comms, and it'll be very exciting to have him in the comment box alongside me as well. But of course, here tonight in F2, we cannot wait to bring you the action. Constructors as well can be wrapped up here tonight as well. We are I believe we are waiting on for Barak, but Barak is already here, I can see, certainly on my end. In terms of the constructor standings as well into tonight in F2, let me get you up for them at the minute. Aston Martin leading the way on 150 points, as we have been joined by PSGL royalty. It is Mr. Owen Wyatt. Owen, how you doing?
Oh, a little bit late. Apologies.
Don't worry at all. Excited for the action tonight?
Very much. Looking forward to this one.
It is, of course, it is Imola and Autodromo Enzo Edina Ferrari, one of those tracks where it is a historic track on the F1 calendar. What we were doing there is running through the driver's standings, already run through the permutations for that. And in terms of the constructor's standings as well, 150 points Aston Martin have, they lead the way. They can outscore Mercedes by 16 points. That is the permutation there for Aston Martin to outscore Mercedes by. Mercedes there in second on 132 points, Alfa Romeo in third on 107, Ferrari in fourth on 102, then Red Bull 5th on 86, AlphaTauri in 6th on 80, Alpine in 7th on 65, Haas in 8th on 45, McLaren in 9th on 34, and Williams in 10th on 27 points. And Owen, obviously you've been in F2 all season, and looking at the racing that we've had, Tom obviously can wrap up the championship tonight, 5 wins in a row, form is with him, surely he has to do it tonight.
Yeah, it's got to be him, hasn't it? He's had 5 wins in a row, 6 podiums as well, and that'd be counting the second place he had beforehand. He's been on such incredible form, and he's looking to pretty much bring it home tonight. He doesn't really need many points. He can pretty much cruise it to the line, and it'll still happen for him. So I think it should really be his tonight.
Yeah, Chubby, I think he's already got one hand on that championship and maybe four other fingers on his other hand, and then that thumb can be grabbed around it, possibly here tonight. But hopefully, Tom might wrap up the championship tonight. Barack obviously needs to outscore Tom. It's 32 points coming into tonight. Barack there in second position in the championship. He's had very, very consistent form, but he hasn't had podium form, if you know what I mean. He's there in second. He basically needs to win, and Tom to DNF to even stand with a chance of actually keeping the championship hopes alive.
Yeah, it's quite remarkable actually. Last race in Kota was his first podium since all the way back in Austria. It seems weird to sort of see that happen for him. I'd say his season actually sort of started to fall apart with that sort of free wide incident that happened in Zandvoort, where it was him, Dino, and Tom, where Tom obviously got through and took the win, and that started this whole run of form. And since then, the championship has sort of fallen out of his hands. And I suppose he's just trying to sort of at least let it go on one more round. But yeah, hopefully he can end the season on a high.
Yeah, hopefully he can do indeed. By the way, we are racing in normal PS4 terms tonight in terms of the graphics. Jess is obviously doing F1. I'm sure we're going to be tuning into the comment section as well as we go through tonight. Good evening, by the way, to everyone that is tuning. Let me know who you're supporting in the comment section. I'll be delighted to read your comments out as we go through the session. And already it seems like we're getting the first drivers out on track. It is one of the Hasses, and I believe it's Assy, the first man out on track in the Hass on a set of medium compound tyre. Not surprising that he's actually going out on that set of medium compound tyre. And Assy actually in the championship. I'll get the championship standings up again. And Assy currently in the championship is all the way down in 21st position. Only 5 points to his name, and those 5 points came in Jeddah. So Assy has got a really good chance, I think, maybe to pick up a top 10 finish time.
Yeah, definitely. With a lower grid number tonight, I think a lot of these guys will be sitting there sort of hoping this could be their night. A lot of the sort of front runners, well, you've only got one of the Mercedes, one of the Aston Martins. So definitely, yeah, these guys will be looking for decent results now. I do wonder as well how many actually might consider flat out just qualifying on these medium compound tyres and getting them out of the way early in the race. I don't know exactly how the strategy will work tonight, but I'm sure someone might have a look at trying it.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, looking at the sides that everyone's on, Assy's out on a set of mediums, Kryptonite selected a set of mediums, he's still yet to come out the pit lane, same with Steph, but CC Brain and Legend are out on track, they're on a set of medium compound tyres as well, so it seems like 9 drivers at the minute going for sort of softs, 5 on a set of mediums, and we're going to take you on board this lap through Ravazza, through the Ravazza's corners at turn 17 and 18, then on the run through the right hand of turn 19, on board with Assy on this lap of the Autodromer, Enzo Edina Ferrari, and now we run down in towards turn number 1, which is that little kink there, and then in towards the Tamburello chicane of turns 2 and turn 3, and he has to try and get this absolutely spot on through the left hand of turn 2, through the right hand of turn 3, then through the left hand of turn number 4, and then straight up into another chicane, of course the Villeneuve chicane, through turns 5 and 6, and clips the curb on the left hand side, and he's got off into the gravel, and that is not how you want to start your qualifying session.
No, absolutely not, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's not the only mistake we see in these chicanes. They are so difficult to get right. When you're touching those curbs, it's quite difficult to actually get the car under control sometimes, and as he becomes the first driver to be able to sit there, at least it's happened on the medium run and not on a soft run later on, but we'll see who else is actually on a lap. Let's see, Frankie's definitely on a lap, and I want to see who's furthest ahead on the lap. Looking for his teammate, perhaps Legend, who's just come up for a Variante Alta, and we'll see how he gets on. This is actually the one corner pretty much on the entire game, I think, where you can properly attack the curb. There's no other real sort of corner like it where you can turn in so early and actually go flying over the curbs. It's something that once you realise you can do it, you see some quite creative lines as he heads through the last 2 corners. Traction a bit tricky here on the exit, but he has got himself round. And we'll have the first time on the board of 1 minute 15 dead. That will absolutely be getting beaten at some point tonight, especially by this man Tom, the championship leader, the man who's trying to take the title tonight. 1.2 seconds in front of the medium runner of Legend. So that is the proper benchmark, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a really good benchmark time from Tom. 13.8, of course, joining Parnell Racing midweek, and, of course, racing on the Shazoo account, which obviously he has to try and do because Shazoo obviously have been the absolute mainstay, I think, in his performances so far this season. Frankie's gone into second there. The other Williams man, of course, out on track. Legend there in third, former IFR man. Caesar Brain there in fourth. The TTG man going there into fourth. Kryptonite, I believe, is just coming towards the line as well. Mr. Louis DuPont, of course. 15 flat from him. And looking through the comments section so far, Errol saying love from India, good evening to you, and Ricciardo in the comment section there saying Tom is clear. Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't expect anything else, to be honest.
Exactly, I've raced Tom enough on this game to know that he's near enough unbeatable sometimes. Apart from, ironically, Imola, actually, it's the one track I've actually been able to beat him on this game, if I recall correctly. So, they should have got me in this one, but well, maybe next season.
Dino going second, by the way, 13.8, only 4 thousandths of a second off Tom already, so these two are class above the rest so far. We're only in 5 minutes into qualifying though, so obviously drivers are going to improve. This man here, FBR Louis, is coming through the final couple of corners now, on the run to the line, and he drops into third, 14.1 there from the Alfa Romeo out on track. Jamie Sherburn as well in the comment section saying Tom is easily going to win. 5 wins in a row, yeah, the form is with him, but whether or not he can actually produce the performances, of course, he's got a new commentator in the box tonight, so he's got to try and produce the performance there, even with a new commentator in the box. But Louis going there in fourth now, Ricky's just gone into third, the OP drivers there second and third. Anybody else on the lap, Owen?
We've got Devon out on the lap. He's having a very impressive rookie season. I know he was in the title fight for a while, fell out of it, but is still sitting a very strong third as he comes around the final corner, and let's see how he gets on for his first attempt. He's into 5th place, just under 4/10 of P1. I think he might be a little disappointed he wasn't able to quite hold on to the title fight, but I think he's been very impressive all season.
Yeah, he has been very impressive all season. Certainly from the performances I've seen in F2 this season. I was doing my homework before we got into the lobby as well. And Devon has been one of those consistent drivers this season. Obviously, as you say, Owen third in the championship, 14.1. Andrea, though, I'm going to come straight on board with him. He's set a lap at a set of medium compound tyres, 14.9. 6 minutes got into qualifying. Now, I normally think of an average time around here. There's an AlphaTauri spun through Tulsa corner. I think that was Steph just backing off his lap, if I'm not mistaken. But Andrea, he's on a set of medium compound tyres. I normally think of an improvement around here anywhere between a second and 1.2 seconds. So in theory, Andrea should be right up the top when he gets onto a set of softs.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing that lap from Andrea. It's a very decent benchmark. Hasn't actually been on the podium yet this season. I wonder if he's another driver who's seeing the sort of lesser numbers up at the front line, thinking this could be his chance. Because to be the fastest of the medium runners is always a very good start, ahead of the likes of CC Brain, who he's sort of, I suppose, CC Brain 4th in the championship. I don't know how far away people are from catching him really, but to be ahead of the 4th place man of the championship is a good benchmark, as he comes across the line and goes into 8th place, so that's the slowest of the proper soft runs so far. One thing that I'm noticing, and we've seen this a few times actually, is Barak hasn't, as far as I'm aware, been on track yet. Now, he has done this a few times this season where he's held his cards close to his chest. That often means he's got some decent pace he's ready to unleash. So I'm looking forward to seeing if he can do that at some point today. I'm hoping he can give Tom a difficult ride at least for what could be his championship day.
Yeah, definitely. So Barak, I've commentated on him before in another league that I've commentated on, and he actually won around here in Imola. So if that's anything to go by, Barak should be towards the top end. Maybe he's just cutting under the wool a little bit with Tom's laps on there, 13.8. Maybe he thinks he can go a little bit quicker and he'll get a little bit tactical in qualifying. Legend, though, is just starting up on another lap on this set of soft compound tyres, straight in towards the Tamburello chicane, through turns 2, through turn 3, just getting caught on the grass on the exit, now through turn 4, then in towards the Villeneuve chicane once again. Already nearly halfway through qualifying. Tom out on top, Dino second, Ricky there in third, myself and Owen White taking through the action, of course, here tonight. If you're very unfamiliar with me and you're just tuning in at all, my name is James Head. I'm normally doing F3 as lead comms, but filling in tonight, of course, for Jess, who was doing F1 alongside Mr. Aidan Carter. And of course, you can catch all the action there in PSGL F1 at 8 PM UK time. Legend now coming through Piratella on the run down in towards Aqua Minerale, and he's looked very, very assured, I've got to say, on this lap so far. Coming to the left-hander on the exit of Aqua Minerale, and now in towards Variante Alta, and it's a 49.2 in the middle sector, so 7/10 improvement. We see an improvement there from Nicolo going third as well, so the Italian goes into third, 13.9. Legend there on the run down the hill though, in towards Ravaxas, it turns 17 and 18, has to get this absolutely spot on. Run wide here, you pick him in invalidation, beautiful though from Legend, as now the TF man comes through the final corner, on the run to the line, should be up there in terms of the lap time, and he goes quickest, 13.6. Good lap there from Legend, and that is how you take a lap around Imola, even though I think Tom is probably going to improve.
I was very impressive, wasn't it, from Legend? Actually, Tom was backed off, so he might stay P1 for a little bit longer, but he was very brave on those curbs in the last two corners. Could easily have one invalidated and two spun off. You could see he had a little bit of the opposite lot going on for that last corner, so that was really good stuff. And he has got himself a very handy position. Obviously, we've said it so many times this season, the final lap doesn't necessarily end up being your fastest lap at the end of the session. It just depends on what happens. A good banker is massively crucial, and that is what he's got right now. Elsewhere, I think his teammate Frankie's on a lap, but Andrea as well on a lap, and obviously we want to keep our eye on him. He was the fastest on the medium tyres beforehand, even quicker than Legend was. So this could be a quick time coming for him, and you can see as he gets right up to the white lines, you can see these guys are leaving absolutely nothing on the table. And possibly a little wide there for Jacopo Minerale. I don't know if he'll be perfectly happy with that. He's a little bit down on where you'd expect him to be, I think, actually, and you can see he's taking too much to the curb to try and make that time back up on the next corner. So yeah, you could see what was happening there, and unfortunately he's gonna maybe not improve on this lap.
Yeah, he's backed off. He was a little bit laggy there, I think, as well. So hopefully no gremlins in the system there for Andre. Barak is on a lap, though. He's through the first sector. Not sure what he did through the first sector. Steph was improving as well in towards Aqua Minerale, and he is on a lap 49.6 in the middle sector. So we'll cut back to Barak. We'll go on board with Steph at the minute. 7 minutes ago in qualifying, just over. Legend out on top, Tom in second, Dino in third. Don't be surprised if there's any more improvements as I say this. As now Steph comes through, turn 18 at Ravata, and then into the little kink at turn 19. Of course, used to be a chicane here when we last came for the San Marino Grand Prix, and Steph there going into 10th position. And Barak is another one who I believe has backed off his lap. He's on the run now. Sorry, he's on the run down towards Ravata. What am I on about? He's coming down towards Ravata at turn 17. Tom now goes quickest, 13.5. But what is the Spaniard going to do as he comes now through the final couple of corners? Ricky there goes fourth. It's a good lap time from him. Is Barak going to match him? No, he goes third, 13.7, only 0.2 of a second off, and on fresher tyres, who can obviously go again. But Tom there out on top, Legend second, Tom in third. This is already, Barak in third, and it's already looking like a very close qualifying session.
Yeah, Tom's going to be very happy with the gap he's got out there at the minute. I'm sure Barak's got a little bit more on the table. Legend, I'm sure he'll be absolutely thrilled to be splitting those two at the moment. He's had a win and a third place this season. The only other finish he had was scoring 1 point. So when he is on the pace, Legend, he's pretty quick. So we will see, or is only 3 points finishes, I should say. But when he's on the pace, he is certainly up there. So hopefully this is another one of those quick nights that he's going to have. I think Azzy's gone again in the middle sector, and again a little wide for Aqua Minerale. We saw this with his teammate as well. Wasn't as bad though, and so he should be able to keep the lap going through. As you can see, he clatters the curbs again, arguably too much, and didn't quite get the car sort of angle correct on the exit, but he'll still go through these Ravazzas, and we'll see how he gets on. Understeering a bit through the first part, but at least gives him a better turning for the second part. I'm not sure this will be exactly the fastest time out there, but it should be an improvement, and yeah, half a second off the pace. You can see there's definitely some time on the table for him there.
Yeah, definitely so. Kryptonite is on a lap time as well. 24 flat through the first sector, so not lightning quick through the first sector compared to what we're normally used to around here in Imola. But he should go, you would think, ahead of Steph, ahead of Andre, possibly in amongst Frankie and Cece Brown. He's 6 tenths up in that middle sector. Assy was a 49.3 in that middle sector, 49.4 from Krypton. So he might be only a 10th of a second off there in 14th position. Ragnar, by the way, in the comment section saying Barak for the win. He's third at the minute, 13.7. Just need to find a little bit of time Tom, of course, on that lap. And Jess has joined in the comments, and I'll read that out in a second, because Kryptonite's just coming towards the end of his lap on the run to the line, and he goes 10th, so he's currently on the bubble. Frankie and CC Brain just in behind by a 10th of a second. Jess saying in the chat as well, could be a very tight qualifying session, but surprise, Barack has only set his only lap of the session so far now. I think he's clearly feeling that he wants to try and save a set of softs for the race.
Yeah, that I'd agree with that. That we saving tires for the race. Obviously, we never know what the weather's going to do as well, but yeah, we'll see if the tires being saved for the race ends up being useful. It tends to be. As I see Legend was on another lap, but invalidated it. Nicolo's out there a little bit off sequence and also invalidated. The guys will be sort of coming out of the pits now to go for final runs, so I expect really anyone who's still out there to actually be coming in. And that is what's happening. So Steph and Andrea, the first two out there, and Andrea looking like he wants to go early for this run. I'm wondering if he's put enough fuel to go for 2 runs, since he's at the bottom right now. He wants to make sure he gets at least 1 competitive time in. And you can see he takes the wide start to the lap, maybe gets him an extra half mile an hour, having a slightly longer straight run. It's always interesting to see the lines these guys come up with as he comes down towards the Tamburello chicane, hits the curbs nice and hard, and keeps it all in the right direction. But again, he's lagging a little bit, isn't he? It's hard to sort of tell how the lap's going really from this view, but at least he's keeping it on track, so that's a decent enough sort of pointer for me as he heads up through Tosa and moves on towards Piratella. He's got the Williams of Frankie there in front of him, should be able to get out of his way though. And again, he hasn't gone off, he's just lagging a little bit. And he'll continue on down the hill through to Acqua Minerale. A lot better through there this time than he was last time. He hit the apex a lot nicer, wasn't understeering. And hopefully he is also going to have a good run through Variante Alta. And indeed he has, so there will definitely be some decent improvement for him on this run. It's all about now getting through to the Ravazzas and getting out again. He probably does have the fuel to go for a second run. I'm not entirely sure though. He'll actually need it as he comes around the last corner. This should be a decent lap time. And look to the timing screen. He goes up to P4.
Yeah, not bad at all, and around about the sort of average that I was expecting him for Peru as well. So 4th position there, 13.7. Devon has just gone onto a lap. Championship 3rd, of course, 13.9. Now the big question is, drivers have obviously set their lap times now. Obviously, they have set pretty much their best times that they can set so far in the session. It'll be very hard to improve, I feel, now on these times. So take Tom, for example, 13.5. Necessarily, you might not see any of these drivers improve, but hopefully we do, and hopefully it's spawned for a very good qualifying session. Since I say that, Devon's a 10th up through the first sector, so we now come through Tulsa, on board with them, in towards Piratello. I've got to say, this is my favourite sequence of corners out on track, so we'll see what Devon can do. Coming to the left-hand of Piratella, and then on the run down and towards Acqua Minerale, of course, where Mr. George Russell famously spun the safety car in 2021. In 2020, I should say. Devon in towards the Acqua Minerale section, and now up the hill in towards Variante Alta. 49.2, so he's there or thereabouts in terms of Andrea's middle sector, but we'll see what he can do. The AlphaTauri on the run down in towards Ravazza. The old meets the new, I've got to say, here in Imola, because obviously this double left-hander, there's the old houses off to the right-hand side. You must have a really good view, I've got to say, out of those houses. But Devon now coming through Ravazza, turn 17 and 18, and now on the run to the line. In fact, he's on the run into the pit lane.
Yes, he's a very quick in-lap, it appears, there from Devon, so he's happy as opposed to fall down the field, and I'm imagining that is what is going to happen, because there will be at least some improvements out there. Not from Frankie though, he's actually invalid out there. I think he's got possibly Alpine behind him of Dino, who's also invalid. A lot of invalidations tend to happen on these last runs where the guys are giving it absolutely everything, and there is actually a little bit of a traffic jam happening through Ravazza, and I think Andrea is actually going to go again, or is he going to? No, he will pit actually. He was setting himself up, but he's just getting out of people's way, so I was wondering if he was going to do the 2-lap method, but let's see. Barack also going to go again, so yeah, these guys are not getting it done on the first run. Tom also invalidated, and he's overtaking Dino, which must mean Dino probably, or Nicolo I should say, probably isn't massively fast either. So it's all going to be about these last runs. Their time is up now, so everyone who crosses the line, there's no second chances. Ricky, he is just about up so far on his lap. and he goes up into P4, replaces Andrea up there. Good to see. And Kryptonite, I think he and his teammate, CC Brain, will be next up, but CC Brain has invalidated the time, unfortunately. So, Kryptonite sits P11. Might not be the worst place to sit tonight if you're looking for the alternate strategy, but I'm sure he wants to at least get into the top 10, but he won't if he goes wide like that. Somehow, though, he's kept it valid. I'm amazed at that. He doesn't improve, though. It did still cost him time in the end. Frankie, he's also down on his lap, but let's see if there's a better final sector in it. There is, up into P7. Dino stays in P6. We're going to have Steph moving up to P9. Louis moving up into P7, but where are the front runners? We've got Barack invalid out there, so that's not going to be pole position for him. And while Tom's backed up as well, the news has come through that no one's on an improved lap, and it's what we were saying earlier, isn't it? It isn't always about the final run, and Tom, on his second run, was enough for pole.
Yeah, I think Tom's also spun on that lap as well that he went on to, because he's got left side end plate damage on the car. So the Aston Martin there, 13.5 goes quickest. Legend there second, 13.5. He absolutely nailed that lap. I was right on board with him throughout the entirety of that lap, and Legend absolutely nailed it. 13.5. Couldn't get any closer than that, I think, in terms of qualifying. Barack there in third, obviously, as you said, invalidated in his last run, 13.7 there. Hopefully going to be one of the drivers to watch out for in this race. But the championship battle is now on. Tom obviously leading the way. Both, I've just realised, actually, Aston Martin and Mercedes, only one driver's here tonight. So, Constructors' Battle could still be going into the final round of the championship. But Tom out on top, Legend in second, Barack in third. And as a whole, very close qualifying session. 6.5 tenths per second separating the whole field.
Yeah, good to see another close qualifying session. I suppose not a massive surprise with the way this track is, but will we see this pole position curse continue? Because I'm sure Jess will tell you herself, we say this every week, if you end up on pole position, it doesn't for some reason work out for you. I mean, this has been a problem with F2 for a few seasons now, actually. Maybe it's a commentator's curse type thing. We'll see. If the week Jess isn't here, we have a pole position winner. But Tom is on pole. Legend behind him on the front row, let us say. Is it going to be one of his faster performances? When he is fast, he wins races. Barack third, Ricky fourth, Andrea fifth, Dino sixth, Louis seventh, Frankie eighth, Devin ninth, and Steph tenth. So they'll all start on those softs, assuming it's a dry start. And then the four below him, Nicolo, Azzy, Kryptonite, and CC Brain, will have their free choice of tyres.
Yeah, they will indeed. I would imagine if it's a dry compound start to this race, it should be mediums rather than the hard compound tyre around here. Mediums work best out of every tyre that is around this track. Softs, mediums and hards. Mediums do work best in the lap, so hopefully we're going to see that into fruition here tonight. Looking through the comments, by the way, keep them coming in and predict your top three in the comments section as well. Jensen saying 6 in a row. Possibly, never know, pole position and all that might just come back to haunt him. NLD Tom saying hi guys, hello Tom, hope you're doing well. And Jess saying in the chat, impressed by Legend's time tonight, let's hope he has a solid result. I covered the IFR Esports Cup around here. Legend was one of the drivers for IFR, and he actually finished, I think, in the top 3 around here in Imola. So every single driver in that top 3 I've commentated on that won around here, so that now brings in a very good fight, I think, for the front 3. And Jess also saying in the chat, I haven't seen anyone in a while in PSF2 that's had more wins than Tom has had in a season, and I think that just comes to show what a driver I think we've had in PSF2 this season.
Yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic, and I think it's funny, it's all sort of spawned out of Monaco, where we saw him crash out early on, going for an impatient move on one of the Ferraris, I believe. And at that point we wondered how much it would cost him, but since then, he won the next race, he was on the podium afterwards, and there's only actually been 2 races since Monaco where he's not been on the podium. It was Austria where he didn't finish, and Jeddah where he only got 1 point. Everything else, he's been on the podium, and as we say, there are 7 wins in all that as well, or 6 wins in all that, so he has been on just stunning form. And if he can get himself on the podium again tonight, he will be champion. It's as simple as that, really.
Yeah, all he needs to do is outscore Barack by 2 points out on track. So basically, Tom just needs to win. That's all he needs to do. He needs to win. Barack can stay third, and it wouldn't even make a difference. He could be second. It wouldn't even make a difference because there's so many points on hand for Tom. Basically, the scenario I think is the best scenario for Barak is he wins, Tom DNFs out on track, and hopefully that won't happen. Ricky's been disqualified from the session on the formation app. That's interesting. He'll have colder tyres, of course, towards the end. And looking at the tyre strategies, actually, Tom, all the way down to Steph, of course, top 10 qualified on that set of soft compounder tyres. Nicolo, Assi, Krypton, and CC Brain all going for a set of mediums. Simple one-stop strategy around here in Imola. And it's going to be a very fascinating race. Can Tom wrap up the championship tonight? Can also Aston Martin wrap up the championship in terms of the constructors? We will all find out in around about 45 minutes' time when the end of this race comes. But Tom there out on top, Legend alongside. Oh, and if you were in Tom's position, what would you do off the start? Would you try and get that one in towards someone, lead, or would you stay in behind and then pressurise the guy ahead?
Well, if I'm Tom, if I'm under pressure going into turn 1, I'm just going to let it happen, because I know, and Tom will know as well, from where he sits, he's got a 32-point advantage in the championship. To put it simply, he literally just needs to finish 9th today. You know, even if Barak dominates it with the fastest lap, all he needs is 9th place. But then again, he's won the last 5 in a row, so, you know, if he gets the launch, if he's got the line into turn 1, I suppose he can go for it. And with the lower numbers tonight, you could find yourself just naturally finishing even 9th if everyone else has issues. So, you know, really, whatever you do, as long as you've still got all 4 wheels on the car by the end of lap 1, I think you'll be happy enough. But it is a daunting run from where he sits, isn't it? It's so long.
It is indeed, and hopefully that daunting one won't come back to haunt him on the run down and towards Tamburello. Legend, of course, is there on the right-hand side of the grid. There's the run of a crooked line, basically, off the start line. There's the run from Legend. There's the run from Tom. Tom's got a clearer view of turns 1, and then, of course, down towards Tamburello in 2 and 3. We're about to get going, of course, here in PSGL F2. Hopefully this might be a championship battle for the ages. Tom and Legend alongside each other. 5 red lights now coming on here in Imola for round 14 of the championship, and it is... long haul, but it's lights on the way we go, and Tom actually excels off the start, and the Haas hasn't moved off the start, and there's carnage off the start as well. I think Devon has dropped down a few positions, and there's already on the grass from Barak. Legend having to defend the position in towards turn 1, but Tom leads the way. Legend in second, Barak in third. Andrea just didn't get off the start at all. Dino there in fourth, and Louis goes around the outside of Tamburello in toward the Villeneuve chicane. They're going to have to be very close here, but we're right on board with the Alfa Romeo, going all the way around the outside of the Alpine, but the Alpine holds on. He stays in fourth position. Legend, though, didn't get the good start that Tom necessarily needed. Tom there leads the way. Legend in second, Barak in third, and Nicolo right on the back of Devon as well has made up another position. Andrea making up positions past CC Brain. Assi, I believe, is ghosted. I think Andrea is having a bit of a desync issue, possibly out on track as well. But they come now through Piratella and down into Aquaminerale for the first time. It's Tom that leads the way. Legend in second, Barak in third, and Tom got an absolute excellent launch. Dominated down in towards Tamburello, and obviously gets the lead onto the end of lap 1.
That'll give him so much more confidence now for the rest of this race, as he continues to lead from Legend. Barak was on the grass on the way through to Tamburello, so he's probably sitting there feeling lucky he's still in the race. The reason Andrea didn't get on the line, I'm guessing, probably as you've already mentioned, is because of desync. I'm imagining what's happened is he's got his lights at a different time to everyone else, and so he can't go until his go out. And so while everyone else has got to go before him, he's just had to sit there and be patient. Luckily, no one has hit him. He does, though, appear to be ghosted anyway through people, so maybe he might just not be able to touch anyone anyway throughout the race. That might give him a slight advantage, in fact. But, yeah, we'll see how long that lasts. He's been able to make up 4 of the places he's lost. And, yes, we can already see, by the way, Louis falling outside the 1 second gap. That's so early to be doing that. And you can see he's extending track limits. He's been picking up warnings about doing this, and he's seemingly almost, I don't know, desperately trying to catch up, because if the DRS train gets away from him this early on, he'll let that top 4 break away so much.
Yeah, and the slipstream around here as well, you've got to be within 8, 9 tenths per second, basically, to even have a run down the straight in towards Tamburello, so Louis is struggling. Obviously, through this part of the track, though, through Aquaminerale, you can gain the time. Louis has shown that, and now he's 8.5 tenths away, so no cause for concern at the minute from the FER man. Frankie there in 6th, Ricky there in 7th. There are the position gains, by the way. Oh, as Louis has run out wide, coming through Varante Alta, and I think just caught in the sausage curb and ran wide. Andreas left the session. Hopefully he might be able to join back, but Tom needs the way. Legend second, Barak in third. Position gains, by the way, Dino, Louis, Frankie, Steph gained 2. CC Brain gaining 3 further down the field, and he's going to gain 4 now because Andreas Gold's car obviously is now going to be overtaken by CC Brain as Tom sets the fastest lap of the race at 1:17.2. DRS now enabled. Nothing, though, is going to be happening down in towards turn 1, and the DRS actually will get enabled next lap around. So Tom leads the way, Legend in second, Barak in third, and everything has now cooled down a little bit, which is good.
Yeah, it's been very clean and tidy, hasn't it, so far? I imagine when DRS gets enabled, you might get a little bit more action, but this does tend to be one of the more difficult tracks to overtake on, proven by real life and on the game as well. Only the one DRS zone. I suppose there's nowhere else you can really put a zone, so I guess you're sort of stuck working with this. But I think Tom just keeps Legend at an arm's length, about the 7/8 tenths. He should be okay. If you're Dino's, if you're the gap Dino is to Barak, then you can make a move, because it is a very long zone, and I suppose if you're the car in front, you could struggle. I mean, Barak will get DRS, but Dino may still get the run anyway. Tom, though, he'll be happy enough with that gap. He's able to keep his ERS. Barak, Trevor, we've seen for him so far this season, he wastes it, and he's already down to the 40% mark, while behind him Dino's nearly on to 60, and using now a little bit just to stay up close. But let's say, I'm just curious, how much is Legend going to close up on Tom here? Without use of any ERS, he will gain about the 0.4 of a second. So you can imagine if someone's going for a move on Tom, as Frankie just has onto Louis, you know, it is easy enough to do, but the collision from Ricky there onto the back of him as they all try to get through Tamburello, that is one thing obviously they'll all want to avoid, and that's going to be the most painful in that, because front wing damage for all these chicanes, you're going to lose so much time. Then having to change the wing as well, he'll end up right at the back.
Yeah, he will indeed. He has picked up damage as well as a result of that Constantino. In fact, that was all caused by Frankie going around the outside of Louis in towards Tamburello, got the job done, and then Louis just obviously tried to get the run back out of the corner. All Constantino up in front of him, and that's why Ricky is now down in 13th. He'll be annoyed by it, but he'll be hoping that a safety car can try and get him back into play. Legend now in second, Barak in third, Dino in fourth. We're going to see a really good battle, I think, though, between these three, because now the gap has extended out to 9/10 of a second between Tom and Legend. Legend now beginning maybe to see that pace advantage now slip away. Barak there in third, very quick driver. Dino in fourth, very quick driver, just runs wide out of Ravazza, but the Spaniard on the back of the Dutchman running down towards turn 1, but they're all stuck in the DRS train, so there's going to be real no overtakes running down the straight here in towards turn 1, and I think, in fact, everyone will remain as they are. So Tom leads the way, Legend in second, Barak there in third, Steph is on the back of Louis trying to get the job done, Ricky obviously into the pit lane, Nicolo and CC Brain are looking quite close, but not close enough for any sort of move, as we see Steph on the back of Louis, 6th position. This looks like a potential overtake, maybe in towards Tulsa. Actually, ignore that, because Louis just pulled away from him.
Yes, and I noticed how much Legend was able to close in on Tom there. Obviously, we see it often as that Azzy's had an incident, and that could well be a safety car, and indeed it is. He's gone on the exit of the Varianty Villeneuve chicane, and yeah, it's a pretty big knock into the wall, it's safe to say. And that'll have everyone coming to the pits, and Ricky will be happy enough to see that, because it means he can catch back up. But I'm saying that Legend, he's got the gap, and it was only about 9/10. It was a quarter of a second going into turn 1. So, yeah, I think already these guys will be thinking about the last lap, just judging by what these gaps are. Are you really going to want to be the lead car heading into that last lap? Because it looks like you could be reeled in so easily. But let's see who pits and who stays out. Tom will pit, Legend, Barak, Dino. I'd be surprised if Frankie pits. Oh, he does, okay. So he might lose a second or two due to the stacking, but he pits. The two Alpha Tauris are going to have to go beside each other as well. CC Brain, even on the mediums, has pitted, as is his teammate Kryptonite. Only Nicolo has stayed out, which is, I find, very interesting. Legend onto the hards, Barak as well. Tom's onto mediums, as is Dino. Steph. There's a big variety in the tyres here. Very interesting stuff.
Huge variety coming out of the pit lane. Tom on a set of mediums, Legend on a set of hards. That just strikes me out completely. Tom 26 laps you can make on a set of medium compounded tyres, or he has to make on a set of medium compounded tyres. That is doable, but only if you've got the tyres towards the end. The mediums are the best tyre to be on around here in Imola, so maybe they've obviously watched the B-Tech commentary that's going on here for myself, and obviously picking up my strategy that I would do, and then going on that set of medium compounded tyres. But we'll have to see. Tom there in second, Dino also in fifth on a set of mediums, Steph in eighth on a set of mediums. Andre's AI car, by the way, went on to a set of soft compounded tyres. Ricky is back in, I would assume, and that will be for a set of medium compounded tyres as well. But we are under the safety car, lap 6 out of 32 here in Imola, and it's Nicola that leads the way. Tom in second, Legend in third, Barack in fourth, Dino, Louis, Frankie, Steph, Cece, Brennan, Devon ran off the top 10, then it's Krypton and Andres AI there in 11th and 12th, and then Ricky there in 13th position. Jess saying early on in the comments as well, Steph, that's great, GG's, good move there by Steph obviously early on, and Ricciardo saying medium's good call. I agree with that. I think anybody in a set of hards, they're going to lose the pace angle immediately, and that is why Tom, maybe even Dino, will begin to pull away, and it all will spawn up into a big old battle and lead to the safety car restart.
So what I've found on this track, when I've done, we had a race like this a bit similar in another league, where a safety car came out early, and I don't really feel that the mediums even lose that much pace as the stint goes on. I was surprised to find they were at about 70% by the end of the race. That's the only thing I'm going to have to worry about, is possibly if you get the RNG goes wrong and you end up, you know, puncturing the tyre on the last couple of laps, but that still I'd say is quite unlikely. So yeah, I can see why medians has been chosen for some of these guys. I would say it's the better choice, but well, I suppose if Legend's able to keep himself in DRS range, if there is a little bit of a pace drop off on the medians, perhaps Legend can, you know, do something. But it does feel like it's going to be all these guys going for the end. Another safety car would really shake it up. It'd be interesting to see what they do in that situation, but for now, I guess they're all going to be trying to get this to the end. Kryptonite had been in the pits again, by the way. He's actually elected to go for mediums. One less lap on them. Obviously, the safety car as well means you're not going to be putting much damage on the tyres either. So, you know, you're going to be doing about 25 laps at proper racing speed on them. It should be doable.
Yeah, Jess has said in the comment section that it'll be a bit tight with the finish in terms of mediums and in terms of puncture territory, and hards won't be as fast now, but it will be towards the end, like this mix. Yeah, mediums normally waste away around 4% a lap, so if you think about that in terms of theory, you'll get to 40% when you get to 17 laps in, you'll get to around 80% when you get to 27 laps in, so that is really aggressive in terms of the tyres. Obviously, if not, safety car's coming in this lap, by the way, but obviously if not, you are going to be extending those tyres a little bit longer, and I have full fulfillment that Nicolo and Tom, Nicolo obviously still has to pit in, but Tom, Dino and the likes can get those tyres with very good tyre management on that lap. Hola to Frankie there in the comment section as well. You've just joined us at the right point because the safety car is coming back in, and it's now Nicolo that is the virtual Burton Marlander. He's the virtual safety car. Tom in behind, they're all bunching up down in towards Ravata, and this should be Nicolo leading them on the exit of Ravata. He's going to go already now through turn 17, and then to the left-hander of the second Ravata at turn 18. Tom, though, took right underneath that rear wing. Of course, they can't overtake until the safety car line. That's the start-finish line, of course, and Nicolo leads the way on to lap 8 out of 32. We're underway once again here in Imola. Tom there in second. Dino, I think, was getting a little bit of heat into the tyres there in 5th position. We saw him weaving down the straight. Frankie's on the back of Louis in towards turn number 2, but he doesn't get the job done on the back. Very, very nice restart by all. Nicolo leads the way, Tom in second, and Legend in third, but Tom already applying the pressure to Nicolo. He has to do that because he can put a car between himself and Legend. That's exactly what he's going to do now. Down in towards Tulsa at turn number 6, dives it down the inside line. Beautiful move by Tom, gets the job done. Exactly written in the stars, beautifully done, and Tom is through, and he's into the lead of the race. And he's put that car between himself and Legend, as Andre is obviously dropping down the positions with Krypton fighting with the AI down at the back of the field.
What confidence from Tom there to go for that straight away, but it's the right thing to do, because as you say, it's a car between himself and Legend, and once Nicolo will start to lose pace, it means that Tom may end up, when he's out of the way, being clear of DRS, and that could be his key to just do a little bit more tyre saving out there, and just getting these things to the finish. Now, Dino is fighting away with Barack here, and unable to get himself through the Ravatzas. Should, though, have the grip on the exit of the last corner, and we'll see how he gets on through towards Tamburello. He's definitely in the slipstream, isn't he? And Barak, this is not going the way he was wanting it to, is it? As he comes through Dino into 4th place and net 3rd as it stands. And Barak, well, if he wants any hope of keeping his championship alive, he needs, frankly, a miracle.
He does. Steph also got the move done on Frankie as well. He's doing his into 7th, so the guys on the fresh set of mediums clearly making those tyres work. And there was a mistake there by Legend, and Dino now down the inside of Tulsa takes full advantage, gets a little bit sideways coming out the corner, and it's now side by side on them towards Piratella, but Dino has got that move done into 3rd. That all spawned from Legend, I think, getting caught wide off Villeneuve.
Yep, he went a little bit wide, lost the rear end, and Dino was brave enough to go up his inside, and well, he's now got to catch up a couple of turns. He's got just over a lap to do it to get into some DRS on Nicolo, and he should be able to do that. And well, he's certainly going to be happy he got through those hard runners in the space of 2 laps. It's very impressive stuff from him, and he's already building the gap, although he has used a lot of DRS to do it. So that might catch him out later on, as he goes a bit wide through the first set of Ravazzas and then hits the curve a little too much on the second part and loses a bit of time as a result. But Tom continues to lead as we head on to lap 10. He hasn't quite broken DRS yet, but it will happen eventually, I'm sure, as we see Stepp and Louis going for it. Of course, Stepp and everyone on those medium compound tyres looking to try and challenge up towards Barak now. And to Legend, of course, as well. And this is Stepp having a very good race, actually. He's not always been the strongest. He only has 9 points this season, the best finish of, I believe, 4th. But with where he stands right now, he could end up on the podium if he can get by these hard runners in good time.
Yeah, Legend and Barak, though, are going to make a very hard work. I think you've got Nicolo as well in 2nd position. Dino hasn't really caught up. He has used that battery, as you say, Owen, 20% down in towards Aqua Minerale. Nicolo's on around 25, so he's got 5% more to use up. And Dino's out of the slipstream range, so that is going to come back to bite him as well. Legend there in 4th is doing very good as well there. Barak there in 5th. Steph looking for another move, maybe on the back of Barak. And Barak, of course, his championship hopes maybe slipping away, but he's got around 25% more than Steph at this stage, so that is certainly going to help him along. But he's just dropping out the slipstream range once again to Legend there in 4th position. On to lap 11 we go. DRS, of course, has now enabled this lap around, and Nicolo is just within that DRS range on the back of Tom, but it's obviously not going to be close enough in towards turn number 1. And I think Devon and CC Brain might be the closest battle, running down in towards turn 1. Ricky is also catching. Look at the speed of Ricky's on the outside line now in towards Tamburello. The AlphaTauri on the inside line, the Alpine on the outside line, gets caught up on the sausage curb. He went too deep into the entrance into the corner, and Devon holds on for P10, and that was all because Ricky forced on the outside line. He took too much curb, it forced him offline, and that is why Ricky's there down in 11th, but he will try again next lap around.
Good to see that he is able to fight up there now, because I'm sure he would have thought when he got the front wing damage earlier that it would have been all over. But look at the speed that Steph still has as he heads through towards Aqua Minerale. Surely he'll be trying to shape up some sort of move on Barak soon, as they both actually have a bit of a slide through there and head up towards the Variante Alta chicane. And I'm sure Steph could just have a much nicer run for it just because of the extra traction. But being in a 6-car DRS stream, well actually it's an 11-car DRS stream, being right in the middle of it, you can't really do much unless the guy in front is supposed to make a mistake. Which we have seen from these hard runners, they are making a few more mistakes, but yeah, I don't think he's going to be close. I'm not sure many of them will be actually. Dino has now set the fastest lap of the race, but as you can see, he's used all of his ERS to do it. So he's still not in a massively strong position if he ends up getting sort of caught up later on, but for now, he's being protected by his tyres being quicker. And that's the gamble you take, as Ricky has seemingly done it again.
He has. There was contact between them both. Devon just left him short of room on the outside line. Ricky had the speed. Again in towards Tamburello there. But Devon just left him a little bit of short of room. No love lost, I've got to say, between them both. I'm sure Ricky will get that move done. Hopefully third time is a charm. But Dino now on the back of Nicolo. As you mentioned, he's on that fresher tyres. Nicolo now under pressure. Maybe his tyres seemingly going away. It looks like it's getting a little bit cloudy over the circuit as well. Maybe a hint of overcast or threat of rain maybe in the air. But Tom there leads the way. Nicolo in second. Dino there in third. And now Dino on the back of Nicolo. Surely this is going to be an easy move, maybe down and towards Tamburello. Certainly going to try and line up from the exit of the Ravazzas. Andre's AI, by the way, hasn't rejoined the session, I believe, Andre. He's down in 13th position, still going at least, so he's not going to pick up any points at this stage. But Dino on the back of Nicolo, coming through. Nicolo's nearly spun out the final corner. Dino has to take avoiding action onto the gravel there slightly, and now running across the line, Dino already gets through, and Legend, I think, is going to try and mop this up as well. As look at the closing speed of Legend on the back of Nicolo, all spawned from that mistake, and Nicolo's lost one, now 2 positions as Legend goes through, and he's into second, and he's into third, into turn 2. Tamburello gets the job done, and he's into third, and that is what happens when you make a mistake around this track. You get ate up like a lion.
Yeah, there's multiple mistakes he made there, because as well, I'm sure you might have noticed he was using all of his ERS remaining on the run down to the Ravazzas to try and get into DRS. Once he failed at that, he seemingly tried to just send it into the corner just to try and break a little bit later to get through. But he didn't quite make it stick, and then was finding himself under pressure, and then once the attack came, he had no ERS to defend it since he'd already used it, and so that's how you lose 2 places in one go. It's also how you give the race leader a handy little DRS gap to the guy in second place now, because you've made that mistake, and Dean will be sitting there thinking, oh, if only he hadn't actually done that. And he's not got the ERS to catch up either, so he's going to have to sort of rely on raw speed. But yeah, this is getting overcast, isn't it? The sun ever so slightly starting to disappear, and the clouds absolutely appearing.
Yeah, building over the circuit indeed. Barak on the back of Nicolo looks to be the next immediate move down the straight, down in towards Tamburello. This should be even before Tamburello. He's on the inside line for turn 2. Nicolo there will have the side draft to try and get that run, but I think Barak is going to get this job done, and the Spaniard is through, and he's into 4th. Crucial that in terms of the points. Of course, though, Tom only needs to win out on track. Ricky, third time is a charm. Gets that job done on Devon. He's through, and he's into 10th position on Devon. Finally giving each other a bit of respect there out on track, and Ricky there into 10th. Devon there in 11th. No losses to say between them both. Steph is side by side with Nicolo as well, coming through Tosa. They'll go on board now. The AlphaTauri on the inside line. Now for Piratello. He's going to try and use the draft as much as possible. I think I'm just sitting behind, and he does. Steph's sitting behind on the back of Nicolo. But look at how cloudy it's got over the circuit. I predict the threat of rain, and if it's going to rain, I think it's going to be in the next 5 or 10 minutes, which means lap 17 or 18, I think, is probably going to be the way that the rain is going to fall if we are due any out on track.
So I'm wondering though why so many have gone to the hards as Nicolo has lost it on the Variante Alta curbs. Surely Steph gets in this time. And oh, they've hit each other as well. So lucky I didn't send Steph spinning across the track. But yeah, I'm wondering why they're all on hards then, or say all of them. Well, you know, 7 of them are on hards. Are they thinking still getting to the end of the race? Is this cloud going to pass? If it is going to rain, do they think it's not going to rain heavily enough? And they'd rather have the longevity, the guaranteed longevity of the hard compound tires as Nicolo gets back past Steph. You know, will they rather be on hard for a couple of wet laps and be on completely worn out mediums when it rains? It's something we're thinking about. But I suppose it all depends on how long this cloud sticks around.
Yeah, it looks like the cloud's sticking around certainly for, I would say, the next 15 minutes at least out on track. Nicolo, by the way, got the job done on Steph. That was a bit like Bottas and Russell. Famously, of course, Bottas put Russell on the grass, or he put himself on the grass, arguably, and Nicolo did exactly the same. Steph put him on the grass. There was just the hint of a McLaren gap down the inside line there, though, when Nicolo's back through, and he's into 5th. But it is going to trouble Steph. It looks like he hasn't now got the pace to obviously fight with Nicolo. 1.6 seconds back, and this is beginning to turn into a two-way fight, I think, or two-group battle, with Tom all the way down to Barak and Nicolo and Steph, as I think he's made a mistake, Tom.
Yeah, he has. He's lost it through Variante Alta's exit, I'm imagining. I think that's where he's lost it, because that's where all the time's gone. And this gives Dino a lot of encouragement. He's used his ERS, he's dumped it all to try and keep within the DRS range, but you can see he's not even catching that much. That's just how much energy Tom seemingly has to spare, but it's not that much. So as Steph gets past Nicolo again, and Louis as well comes through, surely Tom is going to be sitting here thinking, oh, I might have to fight for this now, because Dino is absolutely on him now, and he's at 2 second places this season. Can he make it a first victory?
And of course around his home track as well, here in Imola, and hopefully he is going to be producing that. We're halfway through, by the way, in F2. Just may I remind you, F1 is starting in around 7 minutes' time. Jess, I'm sure, is preparing that right now. Aidan Carter, of course, joining her, I should say, alongside in the comment section, in the commentary box. Goodness me, I'm messing up. Tom leads the way, Dino in second, Legend and Dubby. You can catch that in about 7 minutes' time. Qualifying will be starting very soon indeed. CC Brain, for the first time at halfway stage, has picked up a first 3-second penalty of the night. Drivers obviously feeling the need to not run over the track limits here tonight. Nicolo has lost another position to Frankie, but I'm above the battle for the lead because Dino's right underneath that rear wing now of Tom. He saved up more ERS this time around. He's got to be very careful though where he uses it down the straight if he wants to try and go for the move. It doesn't look like, however, he's actually going to use any, unless it's this part here on the run down towards Tamburello. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get the move done, not using up any ERS, and Tom will hold the lead for now.
I'm surprised he hasn't gone through it, but I suppose if he can just keep Tom at an arm's length, he'll save as much ERS as he fancies. Sun coming back out again as well, so I'm wondering if that threat of rain has possibly passed. As Dino will have Legend coming into his DRS so soon. That's the only thing you might have to worry about. He's doing the right thing though, actually. I said it on the main straight he was coming through, but actually it is right to save the ERS because you want to make sure you get ahead but don't get repassed. And, well, we'll be sitting here potentially at a stalemate. It just depends on how this all plays out. If Dino has no choice but to pass, he'll pass. Because Legend and Barack will be on it. And Tom certainly won't want to fight for too long because he doesn't want Barack ahead of him at any point today. Just in case something does go wrong and he loses a chance to win this title today. Remember, Tom is only needing a 9th place finish to go for the title today. It should be simple enough. But you just never know what can happen around here. As Dino comes around the last corner. And look at that, the front straight is glistening once again, nice and sunny. The cloud absolutely, definitely away. And Dino away on the main straight, and this time, will he be able to pass? I think he's got no choice, does he, but to pass. And so Tom, I think, is very accommodating to that, because this will give him a chance to save some ERS. And Dino, well, he does lead this race, and his pace has been very good, of course. I believe he still does have the fastest lap. So the pace is real. It's whether he's able to hold Tom behind once he gets his go on the DRS.
Yeah, there are the fastest laps, by the way, and look at the top 10, 11 drivers, 17.0 down to 17.3 for the top 11. That's how consistent these guys are here tonight in F2. Dino leading the way has now begun to pull away from Tom. Tom needs to stick with him, though.
Well.
I think, honestly, if Tom... he needs to try and pressurise Dino into using those tyres a bit more, because that's what I think Dino was going to try and do if he obviously didn't get the run down towards Tamburello. You just need to pressurise him down the straight. The gap to Tom is 0.6 of a second, so Dino never going to try and push away, maybe get him out of the slipstream range, but he has got more ERS. He's got about 10% more ERS than the stage, than the Italian in front of him, so the Brit doing a good job. Legend there in third, Barack there in fourth. Steph there in fifth hasn't really caught up. He has gained a couple of tenths of a second, but he's there in fifth position, and it looks like Frankie and Louis perhaps are going to be the next battle out on track. 6th and 7th position currently, the FBR man and the Talent Factory driver, and they're 6th and 7th on their down towards Tamburello, and they're not going to get the move done. Ricky and Devon may be going for round 4 between these guys. On the back, in towards Tamburello, this time though, Ricky doesn't want to dive it down the inside line, and Devon will hold on for P9, and everything once again has settled down, apart from Frankie right underneath the rear wing of Louis.
Yep, right on the back, but not quite able to get through just yet. But we've got to say, Dino's done such a good job, hasn't he? I wasn't quite expecting him to be so strong. And you can see the gap constantly moving out and out. Tom is surely saving ERS, and he is, but I still don't think he'll be that strong, because he will start to have to use it just to stick within DRS range. And Legend will be looking at this and thinking, surely I've got to overtake. So when does Tom's focus become about Legend and not about Dino? Because this is frankly amazing me how Dino's doing so well, and he doesn't quite break out of DRS zone this time, but Legend will be looking at this and thinking, I'm coming to get you. And Barack will certainly be thinking, I want to finish at least ahead of you today. Have a little bit of pride at the end of this one. Tom, he'll close in, but it just isn't enough, and Nicolo decides 18 laps is enough. That's all he's doing on those tyres. That's not always a very good sign when the rest of these guys are still going to do another 13 laps, and Tom's not had the best Tamburello. Still feeling the pressure. This could be the lap. This goes over a second.
I think it will be. Tom looks like he's used those tyres a little bit too much out on track, so maybe that overcast conditions, he just had to try and use the tyres a little bit more that period of the race. And Legend there on a set of hards, Barack on a set of hards, and then you've got the battle for fifth. Steph is losing time as well to Louis and Frankie, albeit they're in a DRS train ahead, but Steph is losing time in the corners to Louis and to Frankie, and also losing gap to the cars ahead as well. But Dino leads the way. Tom in second, Legend and third, Barack in fourth at this point in time. CC Brain Battle with the only 3-second penalty out on track, but Dino, as you said, Owen, I think it's nearly out of the DRS range once again. He's 9/10 of a second going down towards Ravata. Tom there is just trying to stick within that ERS range. At least he hasn't got Legend right underneath his rear wing this time around, because Tom comes out of Ravata now 8/10 of a second, so it's around similar the same gap, but he just loses it again out of Ravata, and now Tom has to use up a little bit more ERS to try and gain, and Dino is putting him on the back foot, and it's exactly what you want to do if you want to get Barack back in this championship fight.
Yes, so I think Dino, you could almost say his ERS is still low, but clearly he's comfortable. So Tom, he'll have to try something. I'm sure he's not going to just let this disappear on him, but I suppose at worst he'll finish fourth, won't he, Tom? With how Steph isn't able to catch up, so at least he knows he can still have it in his own hands, but yes, we'll see how this all pans out. There'll surely, at some point, be a crossover point where we see these hard tyres become quicker. And that'll be where Legend will be getting interested, and Barack, of course, as well, will be getting interested too. But, yeah, I'm guessing that we're just going to keep waiting. Let's see if Dino can have a good run through the very anti-alta, because, you know, a bad run here from Tom is what cost him, really, the lead of the race. And it's so close to a second, and yeah, look at that. Tom's having to use the ERS now, so the stuff he's saving, he's now having to lose.
Yeah, is he saving his tyres potentially as well? He's just within the DRS range once again, coming out of Ravata, but Legend is right underneath that rear wing, and he's 4/10 behind. Tom, albeit though, is pulling away down the straight, and Legend's not using up any ERS as a result, so Tom having to actually drag these guys along as well. This is a bit of a 50-50 scenario. What does Tom do? Does he try now put the pace on? Does he try and bring that gap back down to Dino, just so he doesn't get without a DRS range again? Ricky, by the way, going for Devon down the inside and towards turn 2 on the mini-map. I can see Ricky through and he's into 8th on Devon once again. And Yakita in the comment section as well. Very familiar face to me as well. The OP team. He is supporting Dino quite clearly, and he sees Dino come on there in the comment section with 11 laps to go. Dino leads the way. Tom in second, Legend in third. And Dino once again, he's got he's got how many much ERS? He's got about 13%, 14% more than Dino at this stage has Tom. But he needs to use that up because Dino pulling away, and he's got the pace.
Yep, he's definitely got the pace, and Tom has had a bad Ravazza. Or, sorry, very anti-alta once again, and it will cost him on the run to Ravazza. He can't use this ERS because he's running out. He is running out, and it's not good through the last 2 corners. I mean, he gains a little bit, but this will start to cost him. I just do not see him being able to come through to win this race from here. But I suppose anything could change. Dino could be given it absolutely everything on this lap, and it could cost him, I suppose, at the end of the race.
Yeah, Baraka's left the session. Oh, Baraka's disconnected from the session. Hopefully we can get him back in, or if he's got another invite, he can obviously join. He's there in 4th position, though, and it's going to be... That is now Tom's saving grace, because Baraka's now left the session. Clearly a problem maybe with his internet on his end, and Tom there in 2nd position. That is his saving grace, because Baraka's now going to possibly fall down the field. Steph is obviously dragging Louis and Frankie along with him as well, but Tom there in 2nd position, that is his saving grace. He's only doing as much as he needs to, really, to win the championship, but Barack leaving the session just sums up, I think, the sort of race he's actually had. But he was on the back of Legend, and they were going to be catching, so hopefully Barack can get back in the session, and he can get saved by something. Otherwise, it's all over.
Yeah, if we get at any point confirmation that he's not going to be coming back, then of course that'll be Tom the champion officially. But we just gotta wait on that. As Tom, let's see, the ERS. It looks like Dino is using it all up on the main straight. He seems happy enough to do it as well. Oh no! And Baraka's car goes into the pits. I mean, it's so frustrating when this type of thing happens to someone. I mean, yes, sure, put them onto the soft compound tires, but what use is that when you're going to be falling only down to 10th place, nowhere near anyone? Oh, that will hurt. That will really hurt, and he'll be sitting here just feeling helpless. But I suppose that doesn't really concern the front three too much. They will keep fighting away, but I think we can effectively say that Tom is our champion. But we'll confirm it at the flag, sure. Do it proper officially and all that.
Yeah, Baraka's now down in 11th position, obviously in AI as well. Nicola's going to pull away from him. He's out of the points, so Baraka's not scoring any here tonight, which is so unfortunate. Dino, by the way, looks like he was going to get a little bit of DRS off Andrea, but I think it's going to help out Tom more than anything, because he's going to have a double bit of slipstream, I think, running down the straight here, in towards Tamburello, obviously. They're down in towards Ravata now, but Tom, I think he's got a sense of urgency now. He knows that Baraka's at the session. The pressure is off. He now needs to go for this race win. That's his more immediate focus. 40% TRS, Dino's got 6%, and that's where he uses it up. Tom has been very, very canny, I've got to say, on his ERS at this stage. He's saving all of that up, and that's going to come into really good effect at the end of this race. Perhaps we could get a three-wide battle as well down the straight. Louis on the inside line, Frankie folds him through, and Steph is ate up by Lion once again. Louis through and he's into fourth, Frankie there into fifth, Steph there into sixth, literally followed each other through, and Steph loses 2 positions as a result of those mediums, and now coming back to bite him.
That is something that Dino's going to be really worried about happening, although as Tom had another error, because Legend's all over him. So, and he's got plenty of ERS to work with. He's actually got the most out of his top 3, but that's what Dino's going to be worried about. When Tom eventually pulls the trigger and goes for the move, there's a good chance Legend... Oh, as Dino's off onto the grass! And that really could cost him now. And he's going to be really worried about these two both coming through. Legend will be loving watching these medium runners making mistakes. He's off!
Oh, he's off!
Dino's off again! He's going to lose it surely into second and then third. And now, Legend, I'd hazard a guess that the win could very much be on for him. Tom leads it right now. But surely Legend is going to have it at the end. Because these the tyres are not lasting.
Yeah, he's gone too hard too early on the tyres, and he's gone too hard too early in the early rest, but look at now the closing speed. Legend's going to try and run on the back of Tom. All of a sudden, this race now spices up entirely. Legend pulls to the outside line, in towards Tamburello, should get the job done, absolutely waltzes around the outside. Beautiful move by Legend. Into the lead of the race he goes. Dino's now on the back end of Tom, and Tom is suddenly the one that becomes under threat from Dino. So Legend now takes the lead of the race. Mediums are always going to be a problem. The interval timings go off the left-hand side. I think Baraka's rejoined the session, which is good to see. But Legend leads the way. He took that move by the scruff of the neck. Beautiful move around the outside of Tamburello. Got the job done. Tom there in second. Dino in third. The mediums are now beginning to wear themselves out. Legend has put himself in a really good position of running this. And not only that, he's got 20% more ERS than everyone.
Yeah, not quite the way I expected that to happen, but it has transpired the way I expected it to, if that makes sense. With the order being Legend, Tom, Dino, I did feel that Dino would fall down just because of the ERS difference, not because of mistakes, but now at least he gets a chance to start saving, assuming he actually does that. He's actually using all his ERS to stay close, so perhaps he's a little bit worried, but Legend still has those ERS out of these guys, and that is going to be very important in the closing stages. I think he can control this one now, frankly, to the flag. We'll see how aggressive, though, Tom and Dino decide to get, because Tom will close up. Legend, how much is he going to defend? He'll let Tom actually go for it on the inside, and Tom retakes the lead of the race here in Imola. So, Legend, no, look how close he can stay. I do think, even though Tom's been aggressive for the move, surely Legend, if I'm Legend, I'm still feeling very confident. As long as Dino doesn't get past, then I think this is still very much on.
Oh, Dino gets a really good run out of Tulsa, though. He's on the back coming towards Piratella, but he's not going to get close enough, I don't think, for the move. But Legend now just sensing, first and foremost, that I think he's beginning to maybe struggle. The pressure maybe just getting trimmed slightly. Of course, there's still 5 laps to go in this race, so Tom leads the way. Legend now in second, Dino in third. They're 4.5 seconds clear of Louis. These three get battling. Louis, Frankie and Steph suddenly jump up and come into play. So they not necessarily need to be worn out as well, because Louis and Frankie have got swap the tyres. They can catch Dino. They could be on the back before the end of this race before you know it. So Tom leads the way. Legend there in second, Dino there in third. Chalker saying as well, ideally neither one will want to lead onto the final lap. That's what we discussed earlier on, and I totally agree with that sentiment. Legend, though, I think is now going to retake the lead of the race here. Down in towards Tamburello once again. Dino beginning to really come on the back of Legend, though. Legend will pull once again to the outside line on Tom into carbon copy, and now Dino pulls to the inside line on Tom. Whoa. Tries to get the job done, and he does get the job done. Dino through, and he's into second. Lovely move. Tom tries to get the switchback, though. Out now through in towards Villeneuve, but Dino all of a sudden his tyres now go, and Tom is stuck behind once again, and Legend, this is an opportunity to pull away. Legend leads the way. Dino in second, Tom in third. Everything now kicking off here in Imola, and Legend has got out of the slipstream range to Dino. That is crucial. Using up that ERS, could even be out of DRS. This is Legend's chance now to escape and win.
Yeah, this is definitely his time to shine, isn't it? I think he's going to be able to get out of the DRS, and I think he'll be gone after that, because I think we're only going to see Dino's and Tom's tyres continue to fall apart. As entertaining as their battling has been, unfortunately, this is the reason why they don't fight, because it costs them in the long run. But you know what? Who cares? A good little bit of entertainment is always good on a Monday night, as Dino picks up a penalty that could invite Louis onto the podium later on, because, well, I'm sure his hards will probably be feeling pretty good as well in the last sort of 4 laps of this race. But Legend, he's looking pretty clear. I think Tom will just try and ease past now. Dino's going to have nothing to fight with, and Tom is going to take second place back. If he can find something within himself in the last few laps to try and get back at Legend, I'd be absolutely amazed. But I suppose if anyone can do it, it's Tom.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. You took the words right out of my mouth there. Oh, and Legend leads the way. Tom in second, Dino in third. Louis, all because of that DRS training behind. Louis, Frankie, Steph, I don't think they're going to gain before the end of this race. It's 4.3 seconds. The corners are going to gain them. This is the middle sector. It's full of corners, and that's the only point, I think, where it's actually going to gain them out on track. But Legend holds the lead. Tom there in second, Dino there in third. Very, very astute race, I've got to say, by Legend, though. But Tom beginning to get back into contention, and look at Legend's ERS. He's got 5% ERS down in towards Aqua Minerale. Tom is on 13%, using a bit more up, trying to get back in that slipstream range. This is not over by any stretch of the imagination here, as Legend leads the way. Tom in second, Dino in third. Tom will be helped by the overspeed, as Chalkers has put there in the comment section. I totally agree with that again. But Legend holding the lead, and we're not going to get any VSC or safety calls. So this is now 3 laps to the end. Who will win this race?
Well, Tom, let's see how much he closes on the main straight, because he has dumped his ERS here. And he is away towards the Tamburello chicane. The gap will end up being about half a second as it hits 0, in fact, his ERS, so that shows you just how much he's given it some. I suppose, I said it early on in the race, do you want to be the leading car on the last lap if someone behind you's got DRS? Because it's such a long run, you might just be able to make it work. And Tom, I suppose he'll use this lap and the next lap to build it all up and make it stick. He can't do with all that sliding, though. That will lose in time. But Legend, perhaps he's just driving it carefully. He's just making sure he doesn't make any mistakes. He has the same ERS pretty much to the number as Tom, so there shouldn't be much of a difference there. If anything, that'll actually help Tom a little bit more when it comes to the DRS moves. But let's see. We've said it all season, me and Jess, about how pole position tends to be a curse in this league. And, well, we're about to find out for sure if the best of the best can make a pole go to a victory. It sounds mad that we're saying, oh, it just doesn't happen, but it just doesn't happen this season. 2 to go. Let's see if Tom can do it.
Yeah, Ricky's on the back of Steph running down in towards Ravazza as well. That was looking quite close. That could be a move maybe in towards someone, but Tom now on the back of Legend. He's using up none of that ERS. He just wants to do it on DRS alone. He's going to pull him behind on Legend, and this is now going to be the waiting game. Tom is going to pounce. Final lap of the race. I've seen it so many times around here in Imola where the driver pounces. Ricky and CC Frame pounce for their moves as well into 6th and 8th position respectively. Legend leads the way. Tom in second, Dino in third. All of a sudden, Legend's tyres seem to be absolutely dropping off the cliff. And now Tom, all of a sudden, getting a second win. Not over and done with Dino there in behind as well. Penalties, by the way, as we come on to the final lap of the race, next lap around. 3 seconds for Dino, 3 seconds for Frankie, 6 seconds for CC Brain, and 3 for Krypton. Probably not going to change that much unless somebody else picks up a 3-second penalty. But Tom, absolutely on a mission. He's a man on a mission. He wants 6 in a row. Gets a little bit sideways. Doesn't lose much time, though. And Dino was the one, actually, that loses a little bit out on that as well.
Wide.
Krypton's going fast as lap. Dino goes wide, coming through Aqua Minerale. And
look
now, through Variant to Alpha. And look at Tom.
He's trying to let Tom go through. Look at him. He's slowing down. He's trying to let him go through. He's trying all the tactics here, but they're not working. And Tom was very wise to see that happening. And we were able to see it happening in the commentary box. I think Legend knows what's going to happen as the final lap gets underway here at Imola. And Tom is going to go for the victory. Legend, I just don't think there's anything he can do about it. As the Aston Martin comes round his outside and takes the lead into the Tamperello chicane. The pole sitter, the championship leader, the man going for 6 in a row, and he's going to do it as long as he can just keep it on the island for the last few corners. Will Legend be able to try anything? He's blowing all his ERS now, trying to find some gap. I still think these hard tyres should be better on the traction at various points, and obviously the medium tyres on their 26th tour will be suffering from a little bit more of the tyre wear and potentially in puncture range, but none of that appears to be stopping Tom at the minute. And he's driven a fantastic race. He's driven a fantastic season. Like I say, since the Monaco accident, he has only missed out on the podium twice. He's only missed out on the win, what, 3 times and all that as well? So he's been just absolutely all over the place. And, well, Legend actually has now picked up a penalty. That's going to confirm it. But none of that's going to matter to Tom. He has driven one of the best seasons we've ever seen here in the F2 tier. And he's going to see the checker flag now. It is 6 in a row. It is the championship. And what a way to win it. A fantastic battle with Legend and Dino. Absolutely superb stuff. They complete the podium, and I'm sure they'll be a little disappointed they haven't won the race. But I'm hoping they'll be happy enough with the entertainment they provided us today.
Yeah, definitely. So Barack, by the way, he's in the points. Aston Martin, they needed 16 points. They've got how many? They have got 15 because Barack has only got the fastest lap, so he picks up another point for finishing in 10th position in the end. And Ricky's got a 20-second penalty for ignoring the yellow flag. That will be taken off, I would imagine, in terms of the stewards afterwards. Don't know how he's picked that up. I think it's just a pure glitch out on track. Krypton was still waiting on to finish in 12th position as well. But Tom absolutely mastered the field there. Legend in second, Dino in third. It looked for 90% of that race that Dino was going to win. Then his tyres fell off. Then it looked like Legend was going to win. And then the 6-time maestro, Tom, came alive in the final couple of laps. His tyres came alive as well, and he's now won the PSGL F2 Championship. And a big congratulations to him. And I'm sure we'll try and get the top 3 Infinities as well, as Krypton comes across the line and even now just steals that fastest lap of the race off Barack as well. So the Red Bull, nobody, I believe, is going to be getting points in terms of that fastest lap because he's finished down there in P12 out on track. CC Brain gets awarded Driver of the Day by the in-game fans, but that doesn't matter because it is Tom once again to the top step of the podium. That move to Parnell Racing really suited him well. He wraps up the championship here in PSGL F2. So unfortunate for Jess, obviously, not to cover it. She's doing F1, obviously, but there we go. Tom is your champion of PSGL F2 this season, and what a way to win in a great Imola Grand Prix.
So I'm just going to do the maths here, just to make sure. I think, what points do we need then for the Constructors' Championship? Because 16 for a win, and then you get 12%, so what's that? Usually 28 points, 29 points ahead. So I actually do think Aston Martin have that wrapped up as well, because Barack getting 9th or 10th is only 1 or 2 points. So I do think Tom there has successfully managed to wrap up both titles in one night, which is obviously very impressive for him. So he will be loving it. Pull to victory. Shockingly rare in this tier, but he's managed it. I know that sounds ridiculous to say, but it just doesn't happen all that often. And then obviously the rest: Legend, Dino, Louis, Frankie, Steph, Devon, CC Brain, Barack, Nicolo, Ricky, Kryptonite, Andrea, and Azzy. And that is your finishing order here in Imola. And with titles all decided, I know we would like a Bahrain title decider, but do you know what? I think you'd almost arguably have more fun there when everyone is just racing for fun. So that'll be a very exciting final race, I think.
It will be indeed. Final race of the season, of course, to come in Bahrain. Just looking at the permutations, what got sent through by Jess yesterday, Aston Martin need to outscore Mercedes by 16 points to become Constructors' Champion. I believe they've only scored 15, though, so I think there's a mathematical defection of 1 point somewhere between that, and it's Aston Martin still leading the championship with 1 point. I think they need to seal to win the championship in the Constructors. That'll all be confirmed, I'm sure. Shall we try and get the top 3 in though, Owen?
Yeah, let's give it a go. Tom tends to speak to us, although obviously on Discord. Hopefully, though, he will also be available to speak on the PlayStation. And we can try and do that, if I can actually figure out how to invite people to your party, of course. Bear with me.
I've got the app if you wanted to do it on that.
Could try it, but I'm sure I can find Tom on here somewhere. He must be pretty easy to find.
It'll be on Play Together, I would think.
Yeah, I'm looking now. Actually, it surprisingly isn't on there. Even though we have played together many times. But apparently not according to this. Right. Well, I've got him invited to the party anyway. I hope. See, the thing is, he'll probably... Well, if that isn't Tom, then it's someone completely different, and we'll interview some stranger on a championship that he's no idea what he's on about. But judging by how quickly he's joined the party, I think I have got the right person. Tom! 6 wins in a row, and the title today. Do you reckon I could have really gone any better?
No, it really couldn't. I was aiming to win it in style, and I've done that.
Was there any point there where you thought that you may have lost the race when Legend had got past and was starting to pull away?
Yeah, definitely. I thought he was gone, but Dino, he had good pace, but I think he just destroyed his tyres, because when I got double overtaken and he dropped out of DRS, I thought it was gone. I thought the hards would be better, but I actually used the DRS of Dino whilst he was out of it to catch up like 5 temps. And then set a personal best lap on that lap to get me back in the range, and I think it turned out that the mediums were still pretty nice, so I did think it was gone, but it came back to me rather quickly, and I caught right back up to Legend. Legend had to try something with the DRS in the last lap. I was way too close for him to have any chance into turn 1, so I just stayed behind him so he couldn't brake, and yeah, he had to stay ahead. Luckily Dino didn't stick his nose in, because he was there for a second, but yeah.
And were you surprised by how much you were actually able to race out there? Because certainly from the commentary box, me and James had a great time watching that, because there was actually a lot more than maybe we expected going on out there. So what was that like from where you were?
Yeah, to be honest, I was expecting the train to be much harder to get our P3, but Legend clearly played his cards right, and I thought maybe me and Dino would swap a couple times, but yeah, Legend did well to get a fight going, and it was a fun race in the end. Bit, like, not respective that they both got pens, because it was still a really good fight, but yeah.
Right, anything from you, James?
Yeah, one question from me. Talk us through your thoughts going on to the final 2 laps of the race, because obviously it was chopping and changing so much at the front of the race. You were second going on to the penultimate lap. You had Legend obviously in your sides. Were you feeling that was on that penultimate lap of the race? Because honestly, you looked like a man on a mission on that penultimate lap.
Yeah, I had really good pace on that lap, and like coming into turn 1, I hadn't used any battery. Well, after I got back in the DRS, we were both not using any battery. After we'd been flashing, I knew I'd have more because of the DRS, he saved more. And going into turn 1, I was so close, I had to lift, and I just knew that it'd be so much easier on the next lap as long as I stay relatively close. And yeah, if he would have let me past and got DRS, he probably would have won that race, but I made sure that didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen indeed. And my final question, because I'm probably not going to be here next week for F2, so I may as well ask the final question of the night. Bahrain next week, pressure off. Constructors, I think, is still to be wrapped up. I think there's only a point now between Aston Martin picking it up from Mercedes. Going into that final race of the season, what's your expectations? Because pressure is now off. Surely it's just about fun now.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, just like it was pretty much this week. I mean, we do this for fun, innit? Like every race is doing it for fun. If it's not fun, why are we doing it? But yeah, next week maybe I'll put in practice because I know Bahrain. If I don't put any practice in, I'll probably be awful. But yeah, same with this week. I'll just aim to have a fun race and not take it, not like get too angry or anything if anything happens. But yeah, it's gonna be. I think the constructors, the Mercedes are gonna need like a 1-2. So, and obviously the drivers is wrapped up now, which is it's nice. And yeah, I'm lucky to Barack who lagged out today, but he had to win with fastest lap, and I had to DNF, so I don't think that was gonna happen anyway. But yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
pressure definitely off, I think, going into that final round of the championship. You can now sit back, relax, kick your feet up, and watch some F1, obviously, with us as well. Go and enjoy your evening, Tom.
Cheers, guys.
Very welcome.
Congratulations.
Congratulations indeed on that title win. That, I think, rounds us off very nicely indeed, possibly, unless we're getting top second and third in.
I can see if they'll join. We've tended not to have them able to join, though, in recent races. For whatever reason, Tom's apparently pretty much the only person he ever actually talks to us this season. We're getting quite used to it now, as you might imagine. But I can try the other two, but I'm not imagining we'll probably get them, to be honest.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Even if we don't, obviously we can just wrap up the stream as it is. But brilliant racing, of course, here in Imola. Looking through the chat as well, some of the comments that were coming through at the end of the race. I just need to get the stream back up because I was checking in on my friendly Mr. Logan and Mr. Cameron Anderson in F3. F2, just seeing if there's any more comments that came in. Ricciardo saying, "Go on, Tom lad," and that's literally the last comment that we've had on the stream as well. But brilliant racing, of course, out on track. Bahrain next week, Owen. What do the drivers and the viewers, more importantly, have to look forward to around in Bahrain? Because it can be a track which can catch you out, especially in terms of the curbs.
Yeah, it can catch you in a few places, but it also is probably one of the best tracks for actually sort of group racing. The DRS turns do tend to get broken a little bit more often, and so it leads to good racing. Like I say, when everyone's out there for fun, I'm still not 100% sure in the Constructors' Championship. I think it's actually finished, but I'm sure they'll, like I say, do the maths on it. But if both championships are finished, then that means that they'll literally all be just there for fun. And so I think that's what you've got to look forward to, because everyone's just going to be maybe a bit more laid back, a bit more happy to fight interesting fights, and yeah, hopefully we'll get a banger of a finale.
Hopefully we do, indeed, and hopefully as well Jess will be back next week alongside yourself, Owen, in F2. I hope to be back in my rightful seat in F3 as well. See, that was a good race actually in F3 tonight as well. That's the fun that they have when I'm not there, so that's at least good enough. But hopefully we will try and speak to the two drivers, of course, who finished in second and third. Normally, as you say, the don't tend to join, so probably might be best if we ended off here. But should we give it another minute or so and then we'll end it off?
Yeah, I'll send invites to them, sure, and we'll see what happens. Let's see, right, so Legend first, get him properly in. And let's see, well, I hope they will, because obviously they've had decent enough races, and again, I'm really hoping I've invited the right people. I hope we don't have some sort of people that aren't who I expect joining. But yes, let's see. Right, so that's Legend and Dino also.
And just while Owen is doing that, of course, if you do want to watch PSGL F1, F5, F8, the ones that are currently going on, of course, at 8 PM start times, you can, of course, watch that. F1 at the minute, I'm going to just judge into the chat and see what is going on in F1. Ismarad on top, Santeri second, Donerko in third. Intermediate qualifying session in F1, and the championship contenders, Matthew Walder on a set of wets down there in 12th position, and Isma obviously out on top. So that potentially is going to come down to the wire between them both, and of course you can watch that in the great company of Miss Jessica Ball, of course, and Aidan Carter taking to the action there for PSGL F1.
Right, well, I say we give it another minute just to send invites there, so we'll give them their time. Although, if you do want to go watch F1, then I mean, it's not going to stop you, I suppose. But yeah, like I
Nothing
say,
at all.
we do tend to have this with the other drivers.
It's totally fine. We just need to find a topic to try and fill in. Jess's lovely face is on the stream at the minute for F1, so you can obviously go and watch that. I can see Frankie's made his way over there. George and Adair there in the comment section as well. So if you do want to tune in for that, you can. Hopefully, it's going to be a dry start to the race. That's what I'm hoping for F1. But it should be a very good night's worth of action there. And of course, that championship battle between Matthew Old and Isma going right down to the wire. What is going to happen in F1? You'll just have to tune in and find out to that. But I think might be safe on saying we can end the stream here because I don't think they're going to join.
Yeah, I'd say we're good to go.
We are good to go indeed. Big thank you, of course, to Mr. Owen White for joining me in the commentary box. Should be the other way around. You should be thanking me, I think, for joining you in the commentary box here tonight.
I'm very much appreciated. I'm very much appreciated. It's been a very fun experience.
It has been a very fun experience indeed, and hopefully it might not be the last time I get to commentate on some of these guys as well in PSGL. But that rounds us off, of course. If you are wanting more action, as I say, PSGL F1 is currently live. Other T is also live as well. We're going to be back, of course, on Wednesday night. It is PSGL PC F1. Yana Watme and the likes are going to be taking to the track once again, and hopefully you can join in the company of Mr. Ginjandy. Oh, is it George Morgan or Ginjandy this week?
Don't actually know, to be honest with you.
Is it
it
George?
always seems to be changed, doesn't it? Sure, we can find out somewhere, but it's well, whichever one it is, we don't know. So maybe it'll be a surprise to you when you tune in.
Yeah, tune in on Wednesday and find out. That's probably the best thing. And Mr. Daniel Field is definitely going to be there. I know that. It's just the lead commentator, obviously, either George or Ginger. Andy is going to be there as well. But that rounds us off very nicely here for F2. We're just waffling on here, so I'm going to end it off. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.